All right, good evening, everyone. Just want to do a quick recap on today's price action, trades, and things of that nature. So I'm still bullish into proving, differently. I was wanting to see if maybe prior to FOMC earlier this week, we had a rundown towards these lows into these unmitigated PD arrays, but it looks like we just swept some internal liquidity there, right? We swept some internal liquidity, and then we've had enough fuel to push us higher, right? So then we've seen this type of price action after FOMC. So today I was incredibly bullish because we had this structure prior to the open. Right around here at 9, we have our manipulation leg lower. A lot of people were really convinced that this was, we were going to be bearish for the day, especially on NQ. NQ was a lot more bearish at open, but I just seen this as a level of manipulation. We have putting an SMT here, all right, and we were failing to continue to push lower. ES looked a lot better, not gonna lie, than NQ. And we were also coming off of the daily order block on ES right here. NQ as well had a daily order block that I just wanted to see hold, right? We had came down and manipulated into this order block here, and I wanted to see a nice rejection out of here to see if we were going to see higher prices. Our target has continued to be this daily inefficiency. That's been our draw on liquidity. But we've been consolidating on the daily, which is fine. There's still trades within that consolidation. You obviously just have to be a little patient. And today we definitely were patient, um, perhaps a little too patient, but we'll go over the potential trades. I didn't take any trades today. I didn't see anything worthwhile. And just to show you guys, oh, let me exit that out. Executions are on. So any trades that I would have taken would be on the execution, right? But there isn't anything. I personally, I feel like I hesitated a little bit, but not really, and I'll show you guys why. Even though today should have been a winning day on the when the model presented itself, because I pretty much was on the charts waiting and waiting and waiting. Since this area here, I wanted to see once we had our manipulation, I wanted to see a nice reaction into this fair value gap before heading higher. And I believe on ES, right at 10:05, we have a fair value gap, but we don't have any entry. So we just continuously rip higher before we get to the target. And before we got to these targets, I wanted to see some retracement. And then I was willing to take a model to the upside if the structure presented the model. However, we didn't after we took that, buy side liquidity here. We still had a previous day high, and that was a new target because NQ was a little bit falling behind with all these targets here and with other buy side targets, right? These relative highs here. And those are the areas of interest that I was looking at, right? But majority of my interest was here. This was where my interest was at, right? And of course, we still have the daily CIVI as a target. And we have these relative highs, which is, if we take a step back and we just look at what we've done, we've just created a lot of interest for us to price higher into this daily. So this is a pretty obvious draw for tomorrow. Hopefully we don't take it overnight or in London session. Um, so that way we can have a pretty good trade with an easy draw tomorrow. Or if not, we can probably place something back out of from here. But it just depends, right? Because the weekly, we've manipulated lower. We can easily begin to distribute tomorrow and end this candle on a green candle. That would be nice, right? But we would have to definitely be up here. So I just really want to see what price does overnight. Hopefully it doesn't create a big move. Hopefully we just consolidate, slightly move lower, sweeping all this internal liquidity and then granting us an opportunity for tomorrow in the AM session. But we'll see. So going back to the recap on what we were looking at today after this liquidity was already taken, like I described here on ES, I wanted to see a retracement to the 5-minute prior to this displacement higher and taking these highs. NQ was moving a little bit slower. So given that we had the SMT with NQ, I really did like NQ a lot better, but I did like the structure better on ES. The only reason why I liked NQ better was because I still had the targets available, right? I didn't see this as being a threatening SMT where we would have a divergence of these highs being taken and then we would just start dumping. Again, I saw this big down move as a manipulation leg because my bullish bias was still intact. Everything was still continuing to hold bullish. Price action was still bullish, so therefore I was remaining that way. Right here we have our 5 minute inefficiency, which gets retraced to, and I'm looking to see if I can get some type of setup out of here into these highs, right? But we get a lot of, I would call it inducement, right, to the upside, where we get a setup like this right here, where I was very on edge of taking it, but I just did not like. Let's go back to the 5. Let's look at both indices here, right? I more than likely would have got stopped at break even here at this trade. It wasn't super clear, right? Go back. And my stop would have to be a little bit too big for my liking, right? So this is how the trade would look like. It wouldn't really grant me a good opportunity for me to take this, right? If I'm just going for the low-hanging fruit. I don't really like this at all. And as you can see, we have also had just created an SMT at the high, so I wasn't really eager to get into this unless I saw a really clear entry with less risk. And then we continued to move lower. This trade actually wouldn't have worked, right? And as we move lower, we don't necessarily take this low, but notice how there's a slight difference in, a divergence, I guess you can call it. I'm still not really considering this. I'm more so just waiting for a nice reaction out of here. And so we get a nice displacement out of here. And I'm actually willing to punch it here, but we don't have, I believe, a 1 minute structure. Right? Nothing really clear here. And then right here just pretty much takes off without you, not giving you an entry. So at this point, I'm pretty much just a little bit on the frustrated side because we're not really finding our entry. Our model's not presenting itself. So therefore, I just simply don't punch it. So I'm just waiting on the sidelines and I'm just being as patient as possible. Then we have this complete reversal here. We inverse these candles. I'm like, okay. I start to become a little bit more doubtful because I can pretty much make a case for both sides. Even though I'm bullish, I still want to be able to look at the opposing side as well, right? So then I start to begin to see all this displacement disrespected of these bullish PD arrays, but we're still technically holding this order block here, right? We are still maintaining price above or at mean threshold. And I really like that we've just simply come back into this breaker, right? Low, high, lower, low, and we've displaced out of here. So right here, I really did like this setup here, but I did not like how we did not inverse this. And given that we've been having this back and forth price action, I was not willing to punch it here. But let's go look at the 1 minute structure. And there is no setup for me here at all. So I wasn't upset about this trade leaving. Even though we were aiming for these highs right here. Now this high and this high became, for me, a point of interest. But I was not upset that we missed this one because at the end of the day, it just really didn't grant an entry. Nothing to be upset about. Now, we do end up taking this liquidity here, right? And we still have this one intact. And so when we have this is the opportunity that I do regret missing on. When we do have this sweep of liquidity here, we've created and displaced through these previous highs with nice displacement. I really like this right here. And on the 1 minute, let's go back to the 5 and mark that out. This is a trade I really do regret missing out. One, because I've waited for it all day and I was patient enough to wait for it. But let's see. So I really like the 1 minute structure on this setup here, right? There's so many PD arrays creating a confluence, but I'll show you exactly why I did not take this. Here it is on ES, right here. Cool. Right? And then let's look at the 1 minute structure on both indices. So right here, we're displacing lower. We find our support here at this fair value gap that had been mitigated, and then we displace higher. I really like this as my potential entry on this fair value gap here because we had a fair value up to the downside, immediately rebalance to a one candle, and then there's our entry, right? So the trade, the risk reward makes perfect sense. The reason why I did not punch this is because we did not close, and I was demanding a little bit more just because we had already swept this buy side. And if we did want to go for some sell side, and we also had these relative lows here on NQ, it could have happened. So I was demanding a little bit more, and that demand caused me to be more hesitant on the trade. Just being fully transparent, I think I was a little bit more hesitant, even though everything was showing me that this is a perfect trade for indication for us to go higher, right? I did not like how we did not close above this 5-minute inefficiency to the downside right here, right? Because our setup occurs on that candle. But I didn't like how we didn't close above right there. We failed to on the 5-minute, and then we have this rejection wick. So I do want to be cautious, right? So I did not enter here because I wanted to see a nice closure. If we did see a nice closure, I would have just entered on the first presented for rally gap, which would have been this one. And if we would have retraced back lower, I would have entered my full position here, right? Which we would have had an opportunity to do both if this would have closed above. Now, for some people, that might be that's too picky. You're asking for too much, but think about it. We've been consolidating throughout the whole day. We've been right on the bias, but we've had no opportunities to enter. The second I see a great entry and the model present itself, I do want to enter, but I also want to, I guess I was just demanding for a little too much. So there's positives and negatives about that, right? The positive is that you obviously don't lose any money and you stick very disciplinedly to your rule. The negative is that you missed out on a setup when the setup is pretty much screaming at you that this is it. So something where it's a little bit of a sweet and sour taste in your mouth, you know? So that's what I kind of got from today's price action. I'm not really upset about missing the setup because I know the setups will continue to present themselves, but it's just when they're so clear to you and you still hesitate on them, but it makes sense for me to have that hesitation today, but I should not have that hesitation, if that makes sense, right? That's what might be a little confusing or hard to digest, but I understand why I didn't take this trade. And also, we're in a premium given to this range. But if you were to just simply look at this range, which in hindsight, right, we're inside the discount area. The setup forms inside the discount, which is perfect. This is a great trade. Now, let's say for whatever reason you wanted to still see some reaction here. This is where I could have maybe made a better decision. We see the reactiveness of this fair value gap on the 1 minute, right? And then we have this massive displacement right here, creating your 3 down close candles as an order block. We come back and then we create a propulsion block right here. We see that bullish PDA rates are being respected. So if you really wanted to enter on this trade, you can just enter on a continuation basis that these order blocks will hold price. And sure enough, they do. So if you enter here, right, your stock would simply be below the order block. And then you can risk a lot less and be able to still target your target, or just simply go for a 1 to 2 or go for the previous, before the price link down. Hindsight, of course, but this right here was beautiful. And then as you can see, it's a nice low resistance liquidity run. These are the trades you want to be in. And this is simply the trade I missed out on, which was a little unfortunate. But after this, I just simply got off because my final target was met for me. This is all I wanted. I didn't want anything else. So other than that, I did not expect it for it to run more. It did present another setup, I believe, later that day. After we displace higher, we create another inefficiency. Not the cleanest, but we can see if there's another setup in there, right? Because we're still maintaining the bullish bias. This would be obvious, but again, I don't think I would have taken anything after my bias had already been met. And then so close to market closure. Yeah, no, there's no way I would have taken this. It's just way too close to end of day. So yeah, that's pretty much it. This was the A+ setup for me. I was on the charts all day, just tape reading. I did make a video. I did record the first hour and a half, but again, I'm not going to post a video that's just continuously just me talking, even though it's good narration and I believe it's a good video for people that are wanting to, I guess, learn. There's a lot of moments where it's just a lot of boringness, just quiet. We're just waiting, and that's what trading is. Trading is boring, and some people just simply don't want to accept that. At times, they want to be in the market. They want to be finding something every day. Um, Even on December price action, where a lot of people are having a hard time reading this type of price action. I'm really proud that I'm able to still read this price action rather clearly and know exactly where the market's going. Now it's just a matter of finding that entry, right? And that entry needs to be meeting the criteria. If it's not meeting the criteria, then I'm simply not taking it. I don't want to get induced into any type of incorrect trades. And for me, incorrect trades would just be something that doesn't follow the model. If it doesn't follow any of the models, then I should not be taking them, right? Because at the end of the day, this is a business and you have to take it seriously. If you're just going to be in there taking things because you think things are going to happen, right? There's a lot of people that take trades just because, oh, we have our first fair value up here. I think this is just going to continue to go higher. And yes, you could be right, but in other times you're not, right? So maybe that's someone's strategy. It's not to talk down on it, but for me, I just really want to have a structured method to entering and exiting the marketplace. I rather feel more comfortable with my trades, and sometimes it costs me to wait, and be waiting for that setup. So other than that, tomorrow we will be trading. Tomorrow we do have no news on a Friday, so it's just be more cautious, be more conservative, and let's see how we do. So far, we have not traded Wednesday. We took a small loss Monday, small loss Tuesday. Did not trade Wednesday, and then today did not trade as well Tuesday, Thursday. But we did. We were fortunate to forward test the whole session and generate just more experience, more tape reading time. So got plenty of those hours. I'm always happy to add more hours to that journal and be able to see what we can do with that. Moving forward. But yeah, tomorrow Friday we'll be back on. Hopefully this video is not too long. It's about like 16, 17 minutes. And yeah, but good luck for anybody trading tomorrow. If you guys do want to see the full 1 hour and a half videos of just pretty much the raw analysis, which is everything I've just summarized here in a way, but it's a little bit more detailed because we're going through it live. If you guys like those type of videos, let me know. Shoot me a DM or leave a comment on this video if you like, and then I can post those. They're just going to be like an hour, hour and a half to 2 hours long. And I mean, it's great footage for people that are wanting to learn more, and for anybody just more interested in, different ways of how people trade. But anyways, hope everybody has a wonderful night. Prepare for the holidays and take some time off sometimes if you need it in December. December price action can be a little tough, low volume. And then everything starts to resume like at the start of February, end of January. So holidays are meant to be spent with your family. Don't overthink everything. Don't think things aren't working anymore because you get some type of tough price action. Um, Understand that during these time periods, these seasonal tendencies tend to have different type of price actions. So anyways, I'll stop yapping. You guys have a wonderful night. Take care, and thank you for anybody watching. Have a great day.